Restoring art is an art in itself. In the past, techniques for art restoration were limited and could sometimes cause considerable damage to paintings. One such example was to cover the painting in wood ash and then wash it away with water. However, there are now many experts developing advanced techniques that do a much better job at restoring and preserving artwork. These days, art restorers use modern technology as tools. Take oil paintings, for example. Restorers use X-rays to see hidden layers of paint and previous repair work. X-rays can also help see what techniques and the types of paint the artist used. Then the art restorer can use a machine to do a spectroscopy. This involves recording light waves to figure out the exact colors and characteristics of the existing paints. This allows the restorer to get a good match with the new paint. The restorer then carefully removes old layers of varnish before applying a fresh protective varnish. This means that restoration work can be done without affecting the original work behind the varnish. Finally, the restorer carefully repaints any parts that need repairing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jacqueline.
And we were looking at art restoration, okay? And it's not as simple as it seems because it's actually its own kind of art as well, right?
And I actually never knew that this kind of job exists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm like, oh yeah, art does. The paintings do fade away. I never really realized that.
Yeah, that's true. I realized that. I do know that people, take care of them in the museums, but I didn't know that you can actually restore original paintings. Because in my mind, when I go to the museums, I'm like, oh, this is the original. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that actually it was somebody who made it look that way. So that's pretty amazing. And it's kind of great that there's people like that helping us save art. Yeah, thank you. But actually, there's a lot more to art restoration, like we mentioned. So, shall we take a look at our article for today?
I can't wait.
Yeah, okay. Let's read our article. It says, in the past, techniques for art restoration were limited and could sometimes cause considerable damage to paintings. Okay, when something is limited, it's an adjective and it means there's not a large amount of something. So if it's unavailable anymore, then that's it. It's kind of like, when you buy limited edition stuff, there's a lot of people or stores now who do that where they're like, oh, limited edition, only available for 1 month. So they only make that set amount. Once they sell out, they sell out. So for example, we can say the tickets to Beyonce's show were so limited, so you're very lucky if you got one. Hopefully you'll have a show like that soon.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
所以我们看到 limited 它就是有限度的或受限的，所以有限的资源怎么讲呢？就是 limited resources。那么这个字啊，它是来自于它的动词跟名词 limit， 它就是限制或限度的意思。比如说 4 cocktails are my limit， 我觉得只能喝4杯鸡尾酒，这边可以当酒量的意思哦。
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Really?
We also saw another word here, considerable. Considerable is an adjective and it means great amount in size or importance. So another word that you can use is significant. Okay, that's a good word to use in your essays. Significant, which also means big. So art restoration wasn't easy in the past. The resources and techniques were very limited, meaning there weren't a lot of ways to restore art. So maybe they probably used an incorrect way in the past, causing huge damage to the paintings. Okay, but how do we use considerable in a sentence? We can say, I didn't expect the project to take a considerable amount of time to finish.
所以 considerable 就是相当大或相当多的。那大家要注意，有跟一个字很像，不要搞混。另外一个字 considerate， 它就是很体贴的或周到的意思是不一样的。所以我比如说 ，It was considerate of you not to play the piano while I was asleep， 因为你怕把我吵醒。哇，你好贴心哦。所以过去呢，这种艺术品修复的技术是很有限的，有时候反而会对画作造成很大的损害。So it's even worse, right?
Yeah, that's why I think remember we were reading about like the science part and how it comes into art restoration. I think that's where the science comes in. So yeah, here's an example in the article. It says, one such example was to cover the painting in wood ash and then wash it away with water. Okay, so I think this was like the old method. And when we talk about ash, okay, it's a noun and it's that black gray powder left over from when you burn something like wood, paper, or cigarettes, you know, like the paper you go bye-bye, that is the ash that's left over. But another example is, I'm not sure if anyone remembers this or learned about this in school. If you learned about Pompeii, it was a famous Italian city that was covered in ash in one day because the volcano near the city erupted and people did not have time to escape. So a lot of people kind of died on the spot, and then their bodies were covered in ashes and they kind of just died there. Okay, but how do we use ashes or ash in a sentence? We can say, please don't flick your cigarette ashes everywhere. It's very rude. Put it in the bin, please.
所以这些 ash 就是灰或灰烬，可是我们当 ashes 有时候讲一个人的骨灰也可以，所以我们可以说 the house was burned down to ashes 这个房子呢被烧成灰烬了。所以一个可能毁掉画作的例子有什么呢？就是以前的人会用木灰去覆盖画作，然后再用水洗掉。No, it doesn't sound like it's helping.
I know. I'm sure it'd be like all black and dirty. So that's definitely the incorrect way. But let's see how people fix that now. In the article it says, however, there are now many experts developing advanced techniques that do a much better job at restoring and preserving artwork. Okay, so thank goodness for that, or else I don't think the ash method is really going to work. Yeah.
然后这边也看到今天的 language in focus. Let's take a look. 我们今天的 language in focus 看到的是 there 加上 be 动词还有名词片语的用法。那这个句型呢，我们会表示某种人事物的存在哦。那名词片语后面接什么？接现在分词或过去分词去修饰它的状态。所以大家应该很清楚嘛，如果现在分词是主动的时候，它就是表示主动的意思。比如说 there was a hurricane， 然后假如这个 hurricane 要来了 ，the hurricane was coming， 那结合在一起怎么样呢？我们就直接说 there was a hurricane coming， 这样就好了。那譬如说 there are many students in the classroom， 好多学生在教室里面，他们在干嘛呢？ They are studying， 所以聚集在一起就是 there are many people, there are many students studying in the classroom， 这样就好了。那么过去分词是什么时候呢？就是被动语态的时候。比如说 there is a jacket， 那这个 jacket 在干嘛呢？ It is hung on the door of my room， 它挂在我房间的门上，所以它就是被挂嘛，那就是 there is a jacket hung on the door of my room， 很简单呗。所以我们刚刚看到的 preserve， 它就是保护的意思。所以保护环境，我们可以说 preserve the environment。
Like I try to preserve the environment by bringing my own little 环保杯。
哦，我看到了 ，That's cute,
right?
little,
It's
yeah,
pink
and
too.
it looks like Barbie too.
My favorite color.
Me too.
All right, so we can continue reading about how art restorers preserve wonderful works of art. It says, these days, art restorers use modern technology as tools. Okay, thankfully, because maybe I guess they can use like lasers or scanning stuff to see stuff. I think that's the thing, right?
已经变高级了。所以如今的艺术品修复师使用现代的技术，有工具啊，因为 technology， 我们现在科技很好嘛 ，technology advances， 所以 nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see how they do it. For example, the article says, take oil paintings, for example. Restorers use X-rays to see hidden layers of paint in previous repair work. Okay, it makes sense because oil paintings, when you paint, it's like layers and layers and layers. And maybe one person restored it before and there's another layer. So I guess the technology part of using this X-ray is great because you could see just how thick it is and maybe how much work you need to do to it.
哇，好酷！所以这边的 layer 就是层嘛。老师刚刚有讲，因为油画是一层一层覆盖，所以他们现在的修复人员是用 X 射线来去查看说，隐藏到底有几层，然后看一下先前有没有被修复过了，是怎么样的状态。
Because that way, I guess it stops them from damaging even more or like adding more stuff to it and making it worse. How do X-rays help? The article says X-rays can also help see what techniques and the types of paint the artist use. Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. 所以呢 X 光还可以帮助什么呢？它除了说有几层有没有被修复过，它也可以帮助了解艺术家用了什么颜料，然后技术是什么，它的颜料的类型很厉害。
I know, and I think actually it would be very useful for people who love art history as well, because then they can learn how, for example, how did Monet paint this, or how did Picasso paint things like that. So it's very, very nice technology. Yay, technology. Okay, next in the article it says, then the art restorer can use a machine to do a spectroscopy. Okay, this is a hard word. What does spectroscopy mean?
Spectroscopy 就是光谱学或光谱分析，所以是跟光有关、光谱有关。Okay, this is really hard actually. 所以呢，艺术品呢很专业啦。那个艺术品的修复师他就是使用这个机器去进行这个光谱分析。
Yeah, I think it basically means like how does light kind of reflect or retract into different things. So it's like kind of the study of light. Okay, which is I guess very important for paintings because you don't want to ruin them. Next in the article it says this involves recording light waves to figure out the exact colors and characteristics of the existing paints. All right, so I think they also need this to find the right shade of blue or to find the right shade of red. So complicated. Okay, but we see the phrase here, figure out. Figure out means to think about somebody or something until you understand it or them. So for example, like Sherlock Holmes, we know he's a very famous detective. His job is to figure out who committed the crime, who stole the jewelry, or who killed this person. And that's what figure out means.
所以呢 figure something out 就是去理解或弄清楚。那特性的我们刚刚有看到 characteristic， 这个就是一个事情的特征或特性。所以呢，怎么做这件事情呢？我们就是涉及到记录它的光波，去找出这些颜料的正确颜色跟特性。因为有时候 it's not just red, there's like 100 shades of red we don't even know the names of， 因为真的太多了。他们不是有一个表吗？I never know like which red is which red， 我觉得很复杂。
I know. And then there's a lot of rare colors that we don't even know of as well. And I think this really means that you have to study color and art in order to know all of these things. I just know the basic red, green, blue, and then the color wheel.
And maybe rosy pink.
Yeah,
is that a rosy?
Pink.
Yeah,
I think so. Dusty pink.
Dusty, yeah. 这是雾粉。
We can make up names for this. But there's a more professional a color for things and for different shades. So yes, it takes a lot of special skills and a lot of studying to do that. Okay, let's continue how restorers work. It says this allows the restorer to get a good match with the new paint. Okay, so yes, it's better for the restorer to understand what kind of paint they used in the past in order to create, the same one. You don't want to have, the different shade. Maybe the artist chose this blue or this red for a specific reason, and we don't want to change it just because it's easy for us, right?
所以呢，我们用这些科技可以让修复者去搭配，跟新油漆去达到很良好的搭配。
All right, let's continue reading. It says, the restorer then carefully removes old layers of varnish before applying a fresh protective varnish. Okay, so remember, layer is like that one kind of on top of the other, like the layers of a cake. So they have to remove that first before they put on a new one. So we have a few words that we're going to look at here. Let's first take a look at what varnish means.
Varnish 这边是名词，它就是透明漆跟亮光漆，我们画画的时候都会用到的一种漆。
Yeah, or like nail polish varnish. Okay, this is what makes your nails shiny. We also use the word apply here. Apply is a verb and it means to put or spread onto something like paint or cream onto another surface. Like we will apply face cream, or we will apply lotion or apply makeup. We can apply nail polish, like I said, or nail varnish. Actually, I think varnish is a British saying, so both work depending on where you want to go. You can also apply glue to like surfaces. Like if you want to cut something out and stick it to paper, you can apply glue to the paper. Now we can use apply in a sentence like this. Rob applied a base coat before he started to paint the colors on the wall.
好，那我们看一下 apply， 它就是涂抹或敷，把什么东西敷在表面。那当申请的意思也是可以有 apply to 或 apply for something。比如说 to 通常是跟某个机构提出申请 ，for 是指特定要申请的东西，大部分是这样分啦。那我们可以讲 The college I applied to has accepted me.
Yay! Harvard! Oh, so smart.
Yay.
Hopefully you guys will apply to good schools and get in. All right, but we also saw another word. We saw the word protective, okay? Protective is an adjective, and it means something that you want to protect. You want to keep it from any danger or harm or damage or for something getting hurt. So for example, like a mother bear is always very protective of her cubs, of her babies, right? She'll fight to make sure her babies are okay. And I think actually most moms and parents are like this. They're very protective of you guys. Or like if you're at school and you're doing a science experiment, you might need to wear protective gloves or goggles first to make sure you don't get hurt, okay? Now we can use protective in a sentence like this. Jen is very protective of her little brother and is always there to stand up for him. Yay, go Jen.
所以 protective 就是防护的，或者是很保护。其实老师刚刚提到一个意思，是我们口语很常见，就是会一个人过于照顾另外一个人，或很呵护一个人。比如说 ，As adults, we are naturally protective of children and do not want them to suffer harm. 那么我们这个字是来自于 protect，that is a verb, and also the noun form protection， 这两个都会常常见到。所以修复师呢会小心的去除以前旧的清漆层，然后再涂上新的保护清漆。
Okay, next the article says, this means that restoration work can be done without affecting the original work behind the varnish. All right, we also saw the word original. Original is an adjective and it means the first version, the real thing before it's actually being copied. And usually this relates to works of art, music, or writing. So it's not the copied version, it's the first one. For example, we can say, the original documents were lost through time, but luckily there are still copies of it around.
Original 就是原先的最初的东西，那是形容词嘛？名词也可以，如果是名词，就是当原作或者是最原始的那个东西。那么它的副词就是 originally， 代表起初。所以比如说 ，His family originally came from Ireland but resettled in the U.S. in the 19th century。所以意味着呢，我们这个修复工作呢，可以在不影响清漆后面的最初画作的情况下完成哦。反正就是保持最原始的状态。
The article says, finally, the restorer carefully repaints any parts that need repairing. Whew, that's a lot of work.
所以最后呢，修复师就要很仔细的重新粉刷所有需要修复的零件。所以我们刚刚才说呢 ，the restorer has to be a good artist him or herself.
That's right, and I'm pretty sure it takes a long time as well for them to do this, because I can imagine maybe this taking, I guess, like a year or so to do, right? Okay, well, that's a lot to learn about. So luckily we learned a little bit more about their jobs and how important their job is. Now we can take a look at our For You chat. In your opinion, is artwork that has been restored more or less valuable than the damaged original? And you can explain your answer.
Well, I think it's definitely worth more because it's damaged. And even if it's original, but you restore it, and it takes a lot of time and patience.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I would say definitely more valuable because it's kind of back to the way it's supposed to look. I definitely do think it's a shame that a lot of original artworks are damaged, documents get damaged through time. So restoration work is very, very important. And I'm also a very sentimental person. So when I look at old things, I'm like, wow, we should keep it. So I have a lot of stuff at home. So I think it's really good that, you know, people are restoring it. It's good to it's nice to have something to look back on after many, many, many years. And I think we'll be so thankful that people have used technology and found new ways to keep all these amazing artworks and documents fresh in its original form. So I definitely think it's more valuable.
Me too.
Worth a lot more money.
It's really precious.
It is, okay. All right, well, that's not the end. There's actually day 3. There's more to this art. So you see how important it is and how much time and effort you have to put in. So it's the same thing with our article for today. We have a lot more in day 3, but unfortunately that's all the time that we have. So we'll see you for day 3. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Limited. Michael doesn't have much work experience or training, so he's limited in what he can do right now. Considerable. After a considerable effort, the delivery men were able to get the refrigerator up the stairs to the 5th floor. Ash. The paper caught fire and burned for a few minutes until it was nothing but ash. Apply. A special paint has been applied to this wooden bench to protect it from the rain. Protective. When we were in science class, we wore protective gloves to keep our hands safe from the chemicals. Original. The new phone lasts 36 hours before it needs a charge. That's 50% longer than the original model.
智慧小补帖
Preserve. Layer. Spectroscopy. Characteristic. Varnish.